Welcome to the Live Well podcast, where we explore how to navigate life's biggest changes, overcome challenges, and build a future that aligns with your values and your goals. Hi, I'm Matt Wilson, financial advisor, coach, and business owner of my practice here at Cornerstone Wealth Services in South Bend, Indiana, and I'm so glad that you're here. Today's episode is especially for anyone who's ever had that tug on their heart to start something new. And maybe it's a business, maybe it's a nonprofit, or maybe it's just simply a project or a vision that you just can't shake. But starting from scratch is never easy. Everybody knows that. There's going to be setbacks, there's going to be moments of doubt, and then there's plenty of challenges. But with vision and perseverance, it's also one of the most rewarding journeys that you can take. My guest today knows that firsthand. Joe Keifer is the founder of Cornerstone Wealth Management, the Registered Investment Advisory Group, or RIA, that I joined back in 2021. What he started from scratch has grown into one of the strongest independent advisory firms in the country. And Joe's story is about grit, vision, and creating a model where advisors can be independent but not alone. Joe, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Matt. Thanks for having me today.
Well, I appreciate you being here. And, I look forward to this for a long time, and I just really appreciate you taking some time. So, Joe, let me just ask you, take us back to the very beginning. What gave you the courage to start Cornerstone?
Well, Matt, that's an interesting question. It makes me really think back. It's been 20 years this fall, Thanksgiving week, that I started Cornerstone. I was frustrated at my prior firm. They did a lot of things well, but they did a lot of things that I thought could be done better. So I wanted to serve clients without the sales quotas, preferred products. It seemed like the firm had changed over the 13 years I was there, and it was no longer the same firm that I joined. So I thought I could recreate things. I could leave behind the things that I didn't like and keep the things that I did that was working. And so I just wasn't content on riding this bike for the rest of my career. So I saw my opportunity to solve a real problem, and I wanted to be in control of my future. And it was the best decision I ever made.
Yeah, I think oftentimes it's just maybe looking back at where you've been, but also, hey, can you see yourself here in 5 years or 10 years? And maybe that's a good litmus test, when somebody's in a position or in a business or, an employee. I know for myself, I for sure never wanted to work for somebody else for the rest of my life. And, so I'm thankful that now all I work for are my own clients. And I think that's a huge takeaway from, starting something on your own.
Aren't you much more happier, Matt?
Absolutely. I feel like some of the pressures of, maybe it's performance or maybe it's expectations. I think a lot of the noise, when you look at some of the things that, necessarily you don't have. I think the biggest thing that I mentioned to my clients now and to all of our clients is the fact that I think you think differently as a business owner than you do as an employee.
Right.
And
you're a problem solver.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're in control of your occupancy, your staff, the quality of service you provide your clients. You're not being told or spoon-fed what to do. You know what to do. You're a professional, and you're enabled.
Yeah.
And that just you deliver the client experience you want, and you're happier as a result of it.
So when you look back at when you started Cornerstone, what were some of the toughest challenges that you faced maybe in those early days?
Well, I think like most entrepreneurs, the hardest part was building trust and credibility while starting from scratch, right? There were financial pressures, long hours, and the uncertainty of not knowing how quickly things would grow. But every challenge was reinforced on why I started Cornerstone in the first place, and that's to put our clients first. And that purpose helped me clear through those hurdles. So after that, it took courage, of course, to sign leases, hire staff, hire more staff, larger and longer leases. Every time you step back, you review things. I put together spreadsheets. I'm a CPA by training. I project. but at some point it requires you to put on your big boy pants, right? You have to take a spoonful of courage and believe in yourself.
I think about my transition, but just in general, as people are looking to start that business or they're looking to start that organization, I've had people ask me, how did you know it was time? And my response was, and I'd love your thoughts on this, my response was, look, sometimes there's no good or best time. It's just time. And, I just didn't really see that there was a perfect exit strategy. It wasn't like I was extremely angry about something, or it just, to me, it was fit and it was opportunity and things like this, being able to put out content to help those that might need that extra nudge or that push. And again, folks like yourself, I can't think of many people better than folks like you to help people understand what it is to keep pushing through adversity and to have a vision for something. So
Yeah.
I guess, how did you keep
Matt, can
pushing
I
through?
add something?
Sure.
Because you're making me think of something. So I had done all the due diligence of all the firms that I could have aligned with and settled on the one I did, and did all the prep work to leave. And then you hit that critical last week. But
Yeah.
when you're leaving a firm that you're actually doing well at, right? And like, am I going to mess this up? And I was having that one moment of doubt. And I was at home with my wife, who's not a business person. She's just a wonderful mother and wife and good person.
Partner.
And I kind of let on that I was having a little doubt. And she said, "This isn't risk." She said, "You already took the risk to be a financial advisor, 7 years prior, when you literally start from scratch." She goes, "You have all these people that love you, and you've served deeply." She goes, She goes, "This isn't a risk." And so she gave me the confidence, which I will forever be thankful for. To have a spouse that believes in you and has confidence in you, um, it's priceless. So I thank her. I always thank her.
Yeah. I think that's just a really great point. When I look back, I had the same support. She was very proud of me. She said, "Look, you'll be successful. I know you're going to put the work in." And so I almost brought this today. I should have, for our viewers, if you will, but I had a mug and I bought it at NASA down in Cape Canaveral. And it said, "Failure's not an option." It was the Apollo 13
Right. Right.
symbol, and every single day I drank out of that mug
Yep.
and reminded myself that failure is not an option, and
Yep.
this will work, and the formula's there, and
That's
and
right.
and I felt like there was a lot of safety at the time with folks like yourself. I do remember, and I'll share this with our viewers and our listeners. I remember sitting down with you, and I was not really interested in necessarily making a change. And I just remember sitting down, we had a very good conversation. I heard you out, I heard your story, and I remember you said to me, "Matt, I think you'll do well if you have the guts to do it, if you have the courage." And I think that's really what it takes for anything for an entrepreneur, is just the courage to say,
Yep.
look,
Take courage.
the greatest risk is not taking one.
Yep.
I mean, it's sort of like you can't get that account, you can't get that business, you can't get that sale if you don't ask, and if you don't take the initial step there. So I appreciate what you're saying. And then there's the idea, or I guess the challenges of when you're starting something new. You still have life, you still have family, and I know that a lot of people are probably saying, "Look, I just don't know if I want to put my kids through it, if I want to put my family through it," because it is a commitment and it is a lot of work. I had one person who he's talking to me about buying a business, and he's on the fence. And I said, "Look, man, your kids are at a good age. You're at a good stage right now. I guess don't get too old to care, but make sure that you live balanced through it." And that's the end goal, right? Is to have a business where you do have freedom and flexibility, and not just with money, but with your time and your life. So as you, I guess, transition over into whatever you're stepping into, what would you tell people to do so that they can continue to live well through it all?
Yeah. I'm a big believer, Matt, in having a business plan. Without a plan, you really are going to get pushed in any direction the wind blows. So I have a 5 year plan, I have a 3 year plan, and then I have a 1 year plan. And I start off with the 5 year, my vision of where do I want to be in 5 years? What quality of life do I want to have? I get it down even to the personal level. Like, how many vacations do I want to take? How much time do I want to spend in the personal? For example, do I want to attend every one of my son and daughter's soccer games and dance recitals? Like, yeah. In fact, I even want to attend every practice, right?
Hmm.
So how do I rearrange my life to do that? So I set up my business plan to get my work done in such a way that I can make all those things happen. So my business plan isn't just a business plan. It's a how do I get healthier plan? How do I spend higher quality time with my family, be more present? So I'm not thinking about work, yet I'm with them. And so that's how I do it, Matt.
Yeah, I think that that's the greatest challenge. You hear so many stories of people that they get to the end of it all, and it, you, that's my greatest fear is getting to the end and saying, "Hey, what was that all about? What was I doing? And was it about the paycheck, or was it about making sure that I lived well and help people live as well as they can?" And that's why I started the podcast. That's what we're trying to do here today. So I appreciate what you're saying there greatly. So let me ask you this: for those who might be on the edge of starting something new, what, I guess, key lessons from your journey, and now it's been 20 years, what would you pass on to them?
Yeah, I would say, if you ever read, have you ever read a biography about somebody who was average, right? Basically, you're reading biographies about somebody who had courage to do something, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's because life forced them to do it because, World War II broke out or whatever. Fortunately, that hasn't presented to me. But it takes courage to start something, and I'm so proud um, of the jobs I've created. Um, we have 130 plus advisors that work with us, all the staff that they have, as well as our staff. I mean, we've changed lives, and the lives of our clients. We've made them better, and I'm serving now 4 generations of clients. The
Mm.
trust it takes to introduce, to their kids and their grandkids and their great grandkids.
Right.
I mean, that is just an enormous compliment that I am very thankful for. And so I would say, as I think I told you, Matt, when I first met you, take a teaspoon of courage, and I don't think you'll be disappointed.
No, I appreciate what you're saying there, and I think that's the main ingredient. Um, People just have to take that step, and I appreciate your words there, and I think that's going to help somebody. Um, this conversation really is just to me a great reminder that success just doesn't happen by accident. What you were saying earlier about making sure that you have a business plan, making sure that you know where you're heading. It takes vision, takes planning, takes the right strategy. And that's exactly what we help our clients do through our 3D process here at Cornerstone Wealth Services. We start with discovery, and then we get a clear picture on your goals and your reality. Then we design a plan built around quality, balance, and a long-term perspective. And finally, we deploy the right strategies and walk with you through every step of the way to help you live through it all. And if you're ready to align your money with your goals and see how this process could work for you, I'd love to hear from you. Just visit me at mattwilsonfinancial.com and let's get the conversation started. So, Joe, let's get back to the conversation. And, when you started Cornerstone, you mentioned vision, and maybe we've already kind of touched on this a little bit, but I guess what did you see Cornerstone as becoming? And how exactly did you want this firm to be different for you and your clients?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for asking, Matt. That's a great question. From the beginning, my vision was to create a place where advisors could have true independence, the freedom to serve their clients the right way, but with the support and infrastructure and culture that help to make them thrive. So there's a lot of places an advisor can go independent. Um, but most of those are alone. They're like silos, like
Yeah.
a big grain silo in the middle of an empty field. Um, and yeah, you could figure everything out on your own. You're smart enough. But we created a culture of high performing advisors that are willing to share their best practices. And then it helps them better serve their clients. And it just creates, when you know what you're doing is right for the client, and you've sought input from other very successful advisors. You're collaborating, and you go in with more confidence, which frees you up time to spend with your family, etc. You're not spending all night figuring out what to do, and studying 14 options. So we have a very collaborative culture, and it's a real winner.
Yeah, I think when you have the infrastructure to support independence, and obviously, as I mentioned earlier, you think differently as a business owner. There, somebody asked me the other day, basically, why should we use you? And I said, well, I have no incentive, because I have no incentive to serve you poorly, because this is who I am. This is my name, and it's my business. So yes, there's a lot of borrowed trust with respect to the name of the firm that you may have. But at the end of the day, if you don't provide good service, you don't have the right infrastructure to do that, then I think it's going to be a great challenge for you. And so I think, if I recall, I remember seeing some statistics about the growth rate of folks with Cornerstone as compared to maybe just going as a silo or independent.
Yeah, that great question, Matt. So our advisors grow at a 200% faster growth rate than the
Mm,
average independent advisor. Okay.
yeah,
And that's very powerful. And it's not by accident. Our advisors are very engaged at learning best practices. And you don't do that by going alone. We're in a highly regulated industry, which is complex enough. Technology is changing at warp speed. All the best practices to deliver the best results for clients are constantly changing. And you got to be top of your game. And so, yeah, I always tell a story, Matt. My next door neighbor is a cardiologist. In fact, he's the head of
hmm
cardiologists at one of the top hospitals in St. Louis. And he doesn't work alone. Okay.
mm,
Now, my wife jokingly says he's the smartest guy on our street. He probably is, because he saves people's lives every day. But he works with a team. He
yeah,
collaborates with them on best practices to fix somebody who's in a complex situation. And we are no different. Okay. You and I, when COVID came around, we never saw a worldwide pandemic happen, right? So
right.
we all got together, we collaborated on what we should do, how we should best serve clients, how we should structure portfolios, etc. And and that's the same thing. We are all smart people individually, just like my cardiologist neighbor. But who wants to work alone?
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things for me. When I joined Cornerstone in 2021, this model of independent but not alone um, was extremely pivotal for me. As advisors, I want freedom, or we want freedom, but to serve our clients in the best way possible. And I don't think anybody really wants to reinvent the wheel. I mean, there's a lot of gimmicks and things out there, and gotchas and products maybe, but at the end of the day, it's really about the freedom to serve each individual client the best. And I appreciate what you're saying about the growth rate, and especially compared to, I think, large enterprises, even at LPL, which is our broker dealer. And I look at, the support, the compliance, the practice management, the marketing, succession planning, community. Uh, Obviously, for our clients, there's coaching, there's tax planning. And then for us, because I'm part of the Cornerstone group, to your point, some of the things that we can offer, we just partnered with Trust and Will to offer complimentary estate planning, so that, hey, if our clients have those needs, then we can address those. And some of these things that we do for our clients really have come from the partnership and the the joining of the group that is Cornerstone. The way I explain it, Joe, and you can tell me if this is off base, but yes, you might have your own clients and your own practice. You might practice like a doctor would practice medicine. They're going to have their own clients and their own business, so to speak, but they might operate within the ecosystem of a health system. Well, that might be the case, and they can, practice medicine or do surgery at different locations, but really anywhere. But at the same time, maybe they have a group that they're a part of, like you said, for the collaboration, the cost, and for us, it's compliance and things like that. So
Exactly.
having your own business and having the freedom to serve your clients without the constraints of any kind of whether it's preferred group or preferred partners, things of that nature. I think that when you really strip it all away, it's what's best for the client, what's best for your relationships. And so I really appreciate what you're saying there, and I think that's huge, especially as somebody in this world where there are limitless possibilities. Well, having a group really helps kind of mute the noise, so to speak, to me. I don't know if you
Can I
see
add
that
on to
differently.
something, Matt?
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree 100% with everything you're saying. So artificial intelligence
Mm,
is going to happen. And
yeah.
every piece of software that we use to serve our clients, those software companies are making investments in AI. And things are changing really quick. And I can't even stay on top of it all by myself. So I am benefiting from you and dozens of other really bright advisors that are doing deep dives into something, and then we collaborate and we share what you just learned. It's just amazing how this is changing and making it better for our clients. Financial planning software is embracing it, and the results we're getting are way better than a year ago. They're way more visual. The tax planning results.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we are on a learning curve that is greatly benefited by being together.
Yeah. And I also heard in a crazy stat, I think it was just yesterday, and I need to see what the source was on this, but I think it was actually a negative number for a real rate of return for the average investor the last 5 years. And in this environment, I don't know that that's really, it's hard for me to believe it, number one. Number two, I think I understand it because there are so many things out there and there are so many tools and whatnot that tell you, hey, look, you should be here. And um, there's analytics, things of that nature. But I really don't think, you mentioned AI, I really think that the value of a human interaction, understanding what people's purpose is, what people's goals are, understanding where they're coming from. Like you said, you serve 4 generations. I have multiple households as well, and most of our clients, we serve somebody in their family, whether it's up or down a level. That's been kind of a hallmark of our practice. But I would say that I'm not really afraid of that, and I think you're exactly right. We have to embrace it, and with a group of folks who are committed as business owners with their own name on the line to say, hey, how can we utilize this to best serve you? I can only imagine what things are going to look like in 5 years, but I think with the structure that you've created here, it's probably going to end up being better than if you were just on your own somewhere. Uh,
Yep. Can I add to this, Matt?
sure.
So LPL is our broker dealer, and they're the platform that allows us to be independent. So they provide all the back office. What I do appreciate, no broker dealer is perfect, okay, and LPL's not,
Right.
okay. But what they've done well for me for 20 years is they don't say you have to use this financial planning software or you have to use
Mm,
this contact relation
right.
management software. They sit there and they look at it for all the right compliance reasons and being sure everything is secure, et cetera. But there might be 8 financial planning softwares,
Yeah.
okay? Contact management softwares. They allow us as business owners to evaluate and choose what's right for us. And they're doing the same with AI, and so they're doing all the work in the background to be sure that it complies with all security requirements and et cetera. But they allow us as business owners to make these choices. And so you may use a different financial planning software than I do, and you're doing a great job for your clients, and so am I. And so that's just the beautiful thing about the independent world is you can make these really critical decisions um, around the most leading edge technology that's coming out because they're not spending
Yeah.
5 years to develop it.
Right, right. I think that's a great point. And, obviously there's a lot of things out there that people could choose from, and having people vet this stuff and having people with real world experience to tell you, hey, there's all these options. Here's what's worked for me and why. I think that's another reason to be independent, but not alone. And there's a lot of successful advisors at Cornerstone. And they don't all go by Cornerstone, right?
No, that's a great question. It's not about my ego. This is not about making the Cornerstone Wealth Management name larger. Um,
Yeah.
we have over 15 advisors that had a life dream of self-branding their own organization. And like my friend Louis Ray in Lake St. Louis, Missouri, he's Vine Wealth Management. And he, talks about how it all correlates like with a big vine and all these, fruits that come from it. That's fine. That's his dream. And he created his own website and his own logo and,
Yeah.
everything that supports that. And that's fine. We have 15 different advisors that do that. The easy button is going under ours and our website. It's already created, but whatever makes you happy.
Yeah, I think, and Louis, no free commercials. No, I'm just joking. No, I think that's fantastic. And, again, my website, as I mentioned, every podcast is mattwilsonfinancial.com. It's not because it's about me. It's just easy to remember. And look, if things change and, we need to incorporate some sort of change, that's not going to change. And so, I think that what you're speaking to there is some people might have that vision and that dream. And this podcast was a vision and a dream. And I don't know that I would have ever been able to do that at my prior firm. And maybe someday, maybe they do allow it. I don't know. But I wanted to be the resource. I wanted to provide help. And I've kind of shared my story in prior episodes. But
I think it's powerful, Matt, and I congratulate you for doing this. This is not easy to pull off in a highly regulated industry, but
right.
you're a leader and a thought leader. So good job.
Well, I appreciate that. And some of it too is because of the support of Cornerstone and some of the folks in marketing. I know Claire has done a fantastic job with a lot of folks in helping us navigate all the different things that are available to us. So, and that's a little bit about pulling the curtain back. Maybe this is a good time to ask this question. And that is, I think people see success when they see Cornerstone and they see the advisors. Everybody I know seems to be doing quite well. But what would you say to people, or what would you want people to see when they look behind the curtain at the journey?
Well, I would like people to see that we have our client's best interest at heart of every decision being made. So every piece of software that's being invested into, every person that is being hired to support our financial advisors, it's all to better serve our clients. And I think if you put the clients at the center of every decision, then everything else falls into place.
Yeah. I remember years ago somebody saying to me, "Hey, imagine if it's going to be put on the front pages of the newspaper and operate that way." And that's in large part the way I think most of us think is, look, would we want our family, would we want our parents, grandparents to be invested this way? And that's the biggest compliment that I've ever received when folks say, "Look, I feel like you treat it like it's your own money or it's your mother's money." And so you're exactly right. And then I think with the flexibility and the tools, again, that you've mentioned in the episode here, I think, you're only set up for success. So let me ask you this, I guess, one final question as it relates to.
Matt, can I add something to what you
Yeah,
just said?
absolutely.
So I'm thinking, this coming weekend, we're heading into our 20th anniversary party at Cornerstone, and I'm going to see just long time friends, financial advisors that have turned into friends and their wives and kids. And I can't tell you how powerful it is to see their spouses. They will come up and hug me
Hmm.
and they will look at me in the eye. and they will say, "Thank you. My husband is so much happier, and he's able to serve the clients the way he wants, and it's been so much better for our family." And so it's happened to me so many times. It'll happen to me again this weekend, and it's
Yeah.
just it's powerful. And so allowing a person to live their dream, and that is to control their own destiny, to create a business, to rent where they want, hire who they want, buy the technology they want, serve their clients deeply. It's very powerful. It
Yeah.
affects not just them and their clients; it affects their spouses and their kids.
Yeah, and I think their kids see it. I know my kids have started to ask, "Hey, are you still going to be doing this when I get older? Or is maybe I'd like to work with you?" And I'm not pushing them this direction, but I think they see that what I'm doing is worth it. And
Oh,
there's
so
not the
important.
stress. Yeah, there's not the
So important.
stress, and there's the ability for me to be balanced. And um, you know, there's countless ways that you can benefit from having your own business and your structure and things of that nature. And again, that's what I loved about joining a group like this. It was, you've had people that have been there. You have people that have come from where you've come from. It's not just one firm. It's I don't know how many firms. It's just something that again I want my kids to look at what I do and say, you know, Dad is happy or Dad
That's
is
making a
fulfilled.
difference in people's lives.
Yeah, yeah,
I have both my kids are licensed financial advisors, and I couldn't be prouder of them. I mean, they're living what you're talking about, and it's so gratifying to be able to help people.
I mentioned earlier I don't want to get to the end of life and say, what was that all about? I didn't know what I wanted to do in life necessarily through college, and I got a degree in ministry. Most people don't know that, but I'm a trained preacher, if you will, and I studied religion and rhetoric and public address, did a lot of different things, public speaking wise, and actually judged in the National Forensics League and things like that. And so I'm very passionate about platforms like this, or just being able to piece things together in a way that you can communicate clearly. And anyway, I didn't know what I was going to do exactly. I just knew that I wanted it to matter. And I can't think of a better way than to serve our clients and to serve the community, uh, helping them be able to not only achieve their goals, but unlock purpose. And money's a tool. It's
That's
just
right.
you use it or it's going to use you.
That's
And
right.
we need to figure out how to make sure that we're not being used by it. And it's not our identity, but it's a tool. And so, anyway, I think our kids see that. And I'm going to tell you this story really quickly. It was my birthday Monday, and my youngest son, he's 8 years old. He took me out for a special birthday treat on Saturday. So we went over to a coffee shop, and we got a nice drink, and he got me a treat, and he looked at me as we're sitting there having this, and he goes, "Daddy," he's 8. Remember this. He's 8. He goes, "Daddy, am I spending my money wisely?"
There you go,
and,
man.
and I
Well
said, I said, I I was like, man, this is incredible. I have one kid, and everybody has that one that just can't hold a dime in their pocket. But he's just like, am I spending it wisely? And he gets his own money. He used his own account for this, and I let him be a blessing to me. And I said, look, son, if your goal was to be a blessing to me, to spend time with your dad, and your goal was to have a good time with me, then I say yes. You spent your money wisely, and he should have seen a smile on his face. And
Isn't that great?
it's an 8-year-old's goal. It's an 80-year-old's goal, and that's what I love about this business is you can unlock that. And I'm so thankful that he's seeing he's getting something I'm putting down, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, so
Well done. That's a
well,
compliment to you and your wife.
well, I appreciate that, and he's the favorite. No, I'm just joking. um, so my last question to you, and I'll give you an opportunity here. What final piece of encouragement would you give to somebody who's maybe thinking about starting that or making the leap to independence or starting that business?
Yeah, I would say, Matt, that fear and doubt are normal. It just means
Yeah.
you care,
Yeah.
right? So you just got to recognize that's a normal emotion, and but it requires courage to move past it.
Right.
Not everybody has courage, and that's okay. Okay, but you have to be content to kind of live in your situation then for the rest of your life. Okay,
Right.
for everybody who's come with us, they weren't content to live in that situation. Like I said, I wasn't going to ride on that bike for the rest of my life. I knew I could solve some of the problems that I was frustrated by. And
Hmm.
so I had the courage to move forward. And I would just invite anybody that wants to take a look at what owning your own business looks like to call Matt, give myself a call. Um, you know, just learn about what it can be like because you
Right.
can change your life. You can make your family's lives better, your clients' lives better. Man, I'll tell you, I've been doing this for 27 years,
Mm.
20 years on the independent side. And like I said, I'm working with 4 generations of families. I have grown men that end a
Mm.
phone call with me and they say, I love you.
Yeah.
And it's not a creepy thing. It's just, it's a
Right.
deep affection.
Yeah.
And it's one I cherish. And the first time it was said to me, I hesitated. And after that, I thought, nah, there's no hesitation. It comes
Right.
right back because I love them too. I cry when something bad happens to
Mm.
them, and I celebrate when great things are happening. So you can you can own your own business and live the American dream, is what I would say. It's all within your ability. It takes a little courage.
Yeah, and I appreciate that so much. And yes, again, um, if you're an advisor that might be listening today and you have wondered if independence might be for you, Joe and I want to encourage you, have a conversation with us. Cornerstone provides the systems, the support, and the coaches to help you grow faster and more sustainably. Independence doesn't mean isolation. Here at Cornerstone, you can truly be an independent advisor or independent, but not alone. And beyond that, we're proud to offer business coaching for entrepreneurs as well as complementary estate planning for families. So you can learn more and contact me directly at mattwilsonfinancial.com. Joe, thank you so much for joining us today. And thanks to all of our listeners for joining us on the Live Well podcast. If this conversation inspired you, share it with someone who might benefit. And don't forget to subscribe so that you never miss an episode. I'm Matt Wilson, financial advisor, coach, and business owner of my practice at Cornerstone Wealth Services. And this has been the Live Well podcast. Until next time, here's to living well.